What's going on, guys? Hope you're doing well. Hey, if you will, really quickly, before we jump into this video, please go to Instagram and follow me, Live Your Free, live.your.free on Instagram. So for more content, I'm trying to grow that. I'm actually putting a little bit more focus on that now. I think that's something that'll take off really well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys. So again, understand this is for your part-time hotshotter, that person who's looking to get into hotshotting. They have a full-time job and they probably have a truck or something that's on the side when they're like, you know what, I had the opportunity and I had the perfect setup to make more money with this. Or you just flat out might enjoy doing something like this. This video is for you. There's 3 primary tips and tricks that I want to talk about to focus on how to manage today's gas prices, your approach to part-time hotshotting, so that you can be profitable. So number one is gas prices. Look, it's no secret. It's been all over the news. It's probably going to get worse, guys. Just letting you know that. Gas prices are going up, and it doesn't look like they're going to slow down anytime soon. I am personally preparing myself for $6 a gallon. If you look at the news, if you look at different media outlets and different things, and look at trends and the numbers in the market, it only suggests that to me. I hope and pray that I'm wrong. So let's talk about the basics. How do you combat and manage the rising gas prices, the rising fuel costs? Well, first of all, it's basic things. This is going to seem really elementary, but when you put it into context, it's going to make a lot of sense. First piece of it is slow down. What you have to understand is these larger trucks, they have a larger variant swing, right? If I was to go on the highway and punch the gas and floor it, the gas is going to drop much faster at a rate that's much faster, pound for pound, size for size, as opposed to if I hit the gas like that on the highway driving my Honda Accord. Why is that? One, it takes more energy to get these trucks moving. It takes more energy to change the rate of speed, the shifting of directions. It takes more energy, which means it takes more gas. So slow down. The next piece is map out your routes a little bit better. Be more selective on the routes and the loads that you do take. Remember, you're part-time. You don't have to do this. This is for fun. This is a side hustle. It's a side gig. You have more leverage than someone who's doing this full-time to simply say no to a load. So make sure you're planning out your route. Be realistic, guys. Be realistic and have some life cutbacks. If you want to do this and you want to stay profitable and you want to continue the momentum that you may be gaining, or you want to gain the momentum in doing this on a part-time basis, learn to cut back on certain lifestyles. So look at what you're consuming during the work week. Let's say you're someone who eats out, I don't know, you buy lunch or dinner 5 days a week, right? Cut that back to 3 days a week. Because those 2 days of the week that you stop buying lunch and maybe take something with you, or I don't know, go on a fast, go on a diet or something, those 2 days may have an opportunity to provide a supplement or offset the additional cost in gas. Here's another big one: discipline. Self-discipline is huge, guys, especially in this market, in this industry, and with the rising gas or fuel costs. So if you know your trip to pick up a vehicle is going to be an hour long, and you want to budget maybe 20 to 45 minutes for your loading or unloading, depending on what the situation and where you're going. There's a lot of factors that can happen in that process. So let's say you're looking at an all-in time of an average of 1.5 hours. Don't leave an hour before you need to get there. Leave maybe an hour and a half to an hour, 45 minutes, maybe even 2 hours. The reason being is the more time that you have, one, your stress levels are going to be down. You're going to be able to drive the speed limit, drive slower. So for example, with this Ram truck, this 2500 Hemi, this truck, the sweet spot is between 60 and 65. Now there's sometimes you get on highways where the speed limits may be 70, 75, and even 80, depending on where you are in the country. The majority of the highways that I found are going to be around that 65, 70 mark. So if you can hover around 60, 65, maybe up to 70, you're gonna be in that sweet spot, especially for this truck or these larger trucks. Use that to your advantage. Give yourself more time to drive within that sweet spot, within that window of higher efficiency. What happens if you leave right on the line? Now you might hit some traffic. Now you're trying to make up time, and guess what? You're going 75 closer to 80. Now you're risking, getting pulled over for general speeding, but also you're working that engine so that it has to push out more energy, which means a rise in fuel usage. Number 2, negotiate. You have to understand how to negotiate. Guys, negotiating is not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a negative experience. For some reason, and this is coming from a guy who's a business guy, I was trained to negotiate. But you know where I learned the best negotiation tools? Actually negotiating. What I've learned is negotiating does not have to be a negative experience. Most people do make the mistake on both sides. They walk in and say, I have this that I want to pay. I have this that I'm willing to take. I'm not budging on this. I'm not budging on this. If they don't like this number, they can go and do whatever they need to do. Get out of my face. Wrong. You need to understand how to negotiate. So how do you do that? The first thing you want to do is establish that you're both people, that you understand the other person's perspective. So when I'm talking to someone, to a broker who I've identified a load on a load board, the first thing I want to do is say, hey, look, how are you? Build that quick relationship with them. Don't be fake. Don't be phony. But don't just say, hey, I'm calling this load. What do you got? Wrong way. You're already putting them in a defensive position. Say, hey, look, this is what I'm looking at. I see you're asking for this. It would really help me out if I could get here because this is what I have going on. But on the flip side, I do realize that you need to make money as well, and I don't want any of us to go in the red. Is there any way we can work this out? Guys, I'm telling you right now, just establishing that rapport of respect and saying, look, yes, I do need to make more money. It's okay to acknowledge that you need to make more on this load for it to make sense, but it's equally important and it's okay to acknowledge that you understand they need to make money as well. What you'll find is that they will be more willing to work with you. Doesn't mean they want to work with you all the time. A lot of times, brokers are truly not able to work with you. And I don't think that's something people understand. I'm not defending brokers. You have some brokers who are really shady, right, who are price gouging. You have some carriers that might be price gouging as well. So they have to have their guard up, just like you have to have your guard up. But when you do that, they understand, like, hey, you know what? This guy's just trying to make it. He's trying to make ends meet. And then as a driver, as a carrier, you're saying, you know what? This person has a bottom line to meet as well. I get it. And sometimes you won't come to an agreement. But if you don't come to agreement, the next thing you need to do is say, hey, maybe next time we can work something out. I appreciate it. Good luck to you. Have a great day. Why do you want to end it off that way? Because in this field, especially if you're a regional driver, part-time guys like myself, what you'll find very quickly is you recycle the same brokers over and over. And these brokers have regions. They have areas that they're in charge of. When they're in charge of these areas, you're going to end up calling these folks multiple times a month. You're going to see a load, call them, hey, who's in charge of this load? Oh, person X. Good. I've already talked to them. They remember, just like you remember when people treat you bad or when people get on your nerves, they remember that as well. Brokers remember that also, guys. They're still people. So if you don't get a yes on a particular load, live to fight another day. Maintain that relationship. And I'm telling you guys, it will work out. Number 3, how to utilize load boards properly. So I'm going to show you a screen share really quickly here in a second on the Super Dispatch. I'm not going to use any other. I have keeptrucking.com, Central Dispatch, but my bread and butter, my favorite is Super Dispatch. They're just completely easy to use, very efficient. I am a fan of Super Dispatch from the perspective of a part-time hotshotter. It's so efficient. So let's go ahead and look into this screen share really quickly. So right here, what we're looking at is the screen, the search screen. The typical search screen is pretty self-explanatory. Many of you probably already know this. Pickup, delivery. So what I'm going to do, I know there's a large population that is in the Pennsylvania and New Jersey area. So I'm going to have it search for the state of Pennsylvania, delivering to New Jersey. And then what you'll see here, you'll see several different loads that are going. So the first one from PA to Newark, New Jersey, $235 a mile. Not terrible, not terrible. As you scroll down, you'll see some go down to 137, 179, 129. This is where you want to start saying, okay, something's not right. This is not going to be profitable. 82 cents per mile right here. Not a good deal. So this is something that you want to kind of avoid if you can and figure out ways that you can work this. And if it's one that's closer to what you're looking at, then hey, go for it. But in terms of a rate that you want, but if it's something that you think you can go ahead and negotiate, then negotiate for it. Also know there's a lot of folks coming out of Houston. Houston seems to be a popular area. So let's say coming out of Houston and let's just say going to Dallas, a short, close route. And then this is what you'll see. And it's really interesting how different, you can also select the radius that you want to select, pick up a vehicle from Houston as well, which is pretty cool. But you'll see different regions of the country have different rates at different times. So if you see here from Houston, Texas to Hutchins, Texas, they're paying $1.48 a mile. Not the greatest. All right, so in my region, Charlotte area, so I travel from North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina. That's where I try to stay at, right? That's the area I try to stay. So let's look at Charlotte, North Carolina. I might even say pick up in Charlotte, going to South Carolina, Virginia, and North Carolina drop. So again, right here, I'm just trying to put in the delivery locations, which is South Carolina, Virginia, and North Carolina. When you hit that, then you get to see what we're looking at. The first one from Statesville to Hampton, 318 miles. I laugh at that. That's crazy. I mean, that's not even near what you need to be profitable. So as you can see, our first few loads are pretty shoddy. Pretty shoddy. Yeah, it's not looking good there. Let me go back. I'm going to put picking up in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, and then dropping off in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. That way you can kind of see how I like to search. The reason I do that is because it gives you a broader range of the vehicles that you have available to you to pick up. And then it gives me the freedom to kind of map my routes, because it's about efficiency. One thing you want to know, and one thing you want to make sure you do, is that you're searching according to how your business is aligned. I'm aligned as a part-time driver. So I need to make sure that I make as much money as quickly as possible in a short window of time. So you look at the first load, Wake Forest to Hampton. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's something I would definitely call. Midlothian, the crew that's passed out right there, I would call and negotiate that rate up. For me, $2.50 is a great load, depending on where you're going, how far you're going, and what direction. You always want to make sure that you find something coming back and going. And so that's something that's really important there. As you can see, the loads right now aren't that great. Earlier in the week, it was fantastic, but all the fantastic ones have been taken. And now you're getting left with the remaining loads that will probably turn into fantastic loads if they're sitting next week, or if they're still sitting next week, I should say. Because here's something that you have to understand. When cars are sitting on the lots and they're not moving, they're costing people money. You look at Effingham, South Carolina, to Darlington, $5.15 a mile, but it's at 19 miles. This is a great load, a great car to pick up. You can make good money in a short amount of time, but it doesn't make sense if you have to drive 2 hours to get to it. So if I was to take this load, I would also be looking for 2 more loads going towards it and coming. Because for me to get to Effingham, it's going to be about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. Not worth it. Even though it's $5.15 a mile, not worth it to make that just for a 19-mile ride. And so here I want to show you how you actually bid for a load. What I really like about it, as you'll see, is as you change the price number, the dollar per mile rate goes up or down depending on what you enter into that field. So it's letting you know real time what you are negotiating for. Very important when you know the grand scheme of what your day or what your route looks like. It's really important you understand this, because it's about your net profit, not your gross earning. You can make as much as you want to make, but it's about what you keep. Don't fall for the smoke and mirrors on how much people are making. All this stuff goes directly into your net, what you keep. All right, guys, so there you have it. Those are my 3 tips. 1, gas, how to manage gas, manage it the correct way. 2, learn how to negotiate properly. Negotiation does not have to be a negative experience. And then 3, understand what you're looking at and how to utilize the load board. That's probably the easiest of the 3. Not hard. Once you look at it, like I just showed you, you'll see that it's relatively easy. And then from there, go have fun, go make money, and stay profitable. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, share, subscribe. God bless you. I'm praying for you. We'll see you soon.